Society has been peddling this false idea to women for years that to be strong and independent is the ultimate goal for a woman, and to disavow any desire to be with a man as a wife or to give birth to children, become a mother, and surround yourself with a loving family. Instead, they've convinced women that the ideal persona is to be a woman that's disagreeable, argumentative, and just plain abrasive. But in reality, this is only making them less attractive and more isolated. It's transforming them into people men only want to be around for one reason: sex. And a lot of guys out there struggling with dating might actually be bumping into this issue, not because you're not being masculine leaders, but because so many women are seriously buying into this tough girl act. Sometimes you might be doing everything right, but things still don't click. Well, this could be a red flag that some of these women just are not cut out for a relationship other than sex. And if we're honest, they're probably not even worth the trouble for even that. So let me give you guys an example. I once went out with this really good looking blonde girl. Okay, we had a couple of dates, and even though she was hot, she was argumentative and challenged every little thing that I said. And I tried to get her to chill out and tap into her feminine side, but it was like she had this chip on her shoulder that had to put up a fight with everything, and her behavior completely turned me off. And after our second date, I was out. And the sad thing about this was that I could tell that somewhere deep down she did want to connect. There would be these fleeting moments of sweetness and femininity where I thought there was a little bit of a breakthrough, but her constant need to act tough and masculine just killed any of the real moments that we could have had. Now, some women might say that a real man would stick around and help her out, but this is a trap. It is not my job or any other man's job to fix her. She had some deep-seated issues that are not mine or any other man's responsibility. It does take a lot of effort to break down that kind of masculine wall in a woman, and honestly, it's just not worth it. And as many of you already know, women like her aren't simply just a few isolated cases. It's a growing problem. So, in today's video, we're going to break down what's behind it, red flags to avoid, and green flags to keep a sharp eye open for. So the first thing that I want to take a look at is this false notion of strength for women. And like I said earlier, society has been selling a narrative that to be a strong woman, she needs to push back hard and be loud and stand her ground. But if you think about it, what are these behaviors typically associated with? Yes, they're often seen as masculine traits, okay? This line of thinking stems from the belief that women must compete with and ultimately outdo men. Even though they say they want equality, this is a lie. They want power. And to women, this messaging might sound empowering on the surface, but the consequences have repercussions. Women are either ignoring, shunning, or actively destroying their own feminine natures. They begin to view behaviors typical of femininity like softness, gentleness, being nurturing as negative traits because they're comparing themselves to men and are attempting to compete with men by adopting masculine traits. But what's happening is instead of attracting men, they are becoming the men that they want to attract. Strong, tough, no bullshit kind of an attitude. And in the process, they're losing their own feminine essence. So, what type of men then do these women attract? Well, they're generally feminine men that they are repulsed by. The masculine men that they truly want do not stick around. But if the woman is attractive, then those men will simply throw them into a category that's specifically designed for girls they'd bang, but never settle down with. Why? Because those women bring too much tension, too much drama, and are just too much effort into any potential relationship beyond that. But some men fall for this trap because looks-wise, these girls may appear feminine. You know, they're hot, they've got beautiful faces and banging bodies, and from a visual perspective, give off all of the signals of femininity. But once you get to know them, they're masculine, their inner masculine comes out. And most of the men that do get with these women are men who lean into a feminine persona. They are willing to essentially castrate themselves and reduce themselves to simps or errand boys for the arm candy and the punani. They put up with her masculine presence for the reward of physical beauty, but have to deal with it their own internal anguish. Now, the next point that I'd like to make is the cycle of blame and loneliness. A lot of women think men find them intimidating because of their strong, assertive behavior. But here's the reality. Guys do not find them intimidating. They find them irritating. Men generally are not attracted to women who become off as bossy, loud, or aggressive. And it's not just guys. Even women hate being around these types of women. I can't tell you how many girls have told me they'd rather work for men because overly aggressive female bosses are a nightmare. When women go against their natural, softer nature, it just turns everybody off, not just the men that they're interested in romantically. And instead of looking inside, self-reflecting, and having some self-awareness and accountability, many women keep right at it with these tough guy exteriors, which only drives them into deeper isolation, anxiety, and all sorts of mental health issues. They are stuck in this loop of frustration, always pointing fingers instead of figuring out what's really pushing people away, mainly men. Okay, now let's move into something a bit more positive, embracing femininity and masculinity. So when women really embrace their natural feminine qualities and men step into their masculine roles, things just work better. Women feel better when they're nurturing, caring, and supportive, just like men feel solid when they're leading, protecting, and providing. So many women are miserable these days, not because they're oppressed, but because they're trying to be something that they're not. And that's pretending to be men. And it's the same for guys. Those who've been pushed to tone down their masculinity end up feeling lost and frustrated. Of course, there are going to be nuances out there, okay? So do not come at me saying, but I'm a girl and I like guy things too, or I'm a guy and I do non-typical masculine things. Yes, I know. Congratulations. You are so unique and special. Thank you for sharing. But the thing is, when everyone starts being true to their nature, all that anxiety, frustration, and feeling of being lost starts to fade. So this begs the question, how can you as a guy figure out who's really worth your time? So let's break down some red flags. If she constantly talks about men and women as competitors like it's some kind of battle, that is a red flag. So for example, imagine you're talking about careers and she says something like, well, I have to beat the guys at my office to prove that I can handle it. This competitive mindset, where it's always men versus women, this is going to spill into your relationship. Somewhere in the back of her mind, this grudge will be feeding her subconscious. And another one here is if she's always going on about girl power in a way that puts down men, because obviously this is not a good sign. And for example, to illustrate this point, if every conversation somehow turns into how men can't do things right or how women need to take over to fix things, this is revealing her belief about putting down men to elevate women, which is not about equality, it's about dominance. Stay away from that. And thirdly, if she's always blaming men for her problems or shows she doesn't trust men at all, steer clear of this. What does this sound like? Well, let's say you're planning a date and she makes comments like, I hope you're not like every other guy who disappoints me, or men always let me down. This is a sure sign that she's got baggage from either past boyfriends or family members that will be a can of worms. Stay away. Okay, now let's flip over to some of the green flags that if she brings up, these are great signs because there are women still out there who are like this. So the first one is she speaks positively about men. She shows admiration and trust. She might tell you stories about the positive influences from men in her life. And this could be her father. This could be a mentor, an uncle, a boss. She talks about them with respect and appreciation, which reveals that she's comfortable looking up to and respecting men. Another one is that she appreciates the differences between men and women and celebrates them. For example, you guys might be having a conversation and she tells you how much she loves the fact that you can share a different perspective on a topic, or she tells you how much she loves the fact that you're a good leader and take charge. These are both fantastic signs. And if she's proud of being feminine and supports her man, well, this is absolute gold. For example, she embraces her role in the relationship as a woman with confidence and joy. This could be through nurturing gestures, emotional support, or using her strengths to enhance your relationship. She doesn't see supporting you as diminishing herself. Instead, she views it as a natural expression of her love and femininity. So to wrap this up, it all boils down to this. When women stop trying to act like men and embrace being a woman, a lot of the mess and stress just disappears. And the same goes for men. When you live out your masculine essence without getting lost in your feelings, life just gets a whole lot clearer. So embrace your natural masculine essence as men and watch how everything starts to align. And if you want to learn specific traits that make a man irresistible to women, download my free guide, The Gentleman's 12-Point Checklist to Dropping Panties, by clicking the link down below. All right, guys, that is it for this video. We will see you in the next one.